PolitiFact decided to fact-check Bernie Sanders' claim that almost all polls showed that he is polling stronger than Hillary Clinton against the Republicans. Now, they rated this claim false. Now, their reasoning for rating this false is technically correct. However, it's very misleading, and I don't want you guys to get the wrong idea about his electability. So I'll go ahead and read you their explanation. So the only recent national poll to look at the question at the time Sanders made his comment was completed January 13th for NBC News and the Wall Street Journal. If Donald Trump is the Republican nominee, it found Sanders beats Trump by 15 percentage points compared to a 10-point win for Clinton. To find another poll to properly compare Clinton's and Sanders' relative strengths, you have to go back to Quinnipiac poll completed December 20th. There, Sanders beats Trump by 13 points while Clinton defeats him by 7 points. They continue, however, in a matchup against Republican Marco Rubio, Sanders loses by 3 points and Clinton wins by just a single point. Against Ted Cruz, Sanders loses by a point and Clinton ties Cruz at 44% each. So Clinton is performing slightly better, but these results are largely within the margin of error of plus or minus 2.9 points. Okay, so their point there is actually fair. So I can concede on the fact that only 2 out of 8 polls show that Bernie Sanders is actually outperforming Clinton. But the crucial detail that PolitiFact failed to mention was that aggregate polling still indicates that Bernie Sanders is outperforming Hillary Clinton, even though just 2 out of the 8 polls show that Bernie beats Hillary Clinton when stacked against the Republicans. When you take overall averages from Real Clear Politics, his average is still higher than Hillary Clinton because his performance in those 2 polls is so well that overall it averages out in Bernie Sanders' favor. So let me tell you what I mean by that. So when it comes to a hypothetical matchup against Trump, Hillary Clinton has a 2.7% advantage and Sanders has a 5.3% advantage. So he beats Hillary there overall. When it comes to Cruz, Clinton has a 1.3% disadvantage, so she loses to Trump, she loses to Cruz overall, but Sanders beats Cruz overall. He has a 3.3% advantage. Now, when it comes to Rubio, both Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders lose. Clinton has a 2.5% disadvantage. However, Sanders only has a 1% disadvantage. So again, thus far, out of these 3 candidates, Trump, Cruz, and Rubio, Bernie Sanders outperforms Hillary Clinton. Now, when it comes to Ben Carson, Clinton has a 0.4% advantage, while Sanders has a 0.5% advantage. When it comes to Bush, Clinton has a 2.4% advantage, and Sanders has a 3.0% advantage overall. So again, out of these 5 candidates mentioned thus far, Bernie Sanders outperforms Hillary Clinton. When it comes to Carly Fiorina, however, this is the exception. So Hillary Clinton has a 3.6% advantage, but Sanders has only a 2.4% advantage. They both beat Carly Fiorina, but Bernie Sanders does a bit worse against her than Hillary Clinton. So the bottom line is that overall, Bernie Sanders does perform better than Hillary Clinton when you match him against Republican contenders for a general election. So now you can push back against this and say that those 2 polls skew the results, but nonetheless, what we do when it comes to polling is we take into account aggregate polling, so we go by averages. Now, when you go by the average of Real Clear Politics, a very reputable polling industry, or actually they're just an aggregate, so they take all the polls and they combine them and they average them out, but when you go by that, what most people go by, you can see that Bernie Sanders is more nationally electable than Hillary Clinton, despite the fact that only 2 out of those 8 polls show that he does do better in hypothetical matchups. So I want you guys to know that because I don't want you to get the idea that PolitiFact is trying to paint him as unelectable. They're just a little bit misleading, and they should have given you that extra bit of information. And furthermore, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to discern that a candidate who is currently being investigated by the FBI, who 6 out of 10 Americans distrust, who 1 out of 5 Iowan Democrats actually view unfavorably, according to Quinnipiac, is the less electable candidate than Bernie Sanders. Someone who is viewed as much more trustworthy than her. So don't get it twisted. Bernie Sanders is still the better candidate to go against Republicans than Hillary Clinton. So don't take it to heart. I get the reasoning for PolitiFact rating this claim false, but they should have gone further and given you that extra bit of information because that's what's important when it comes to electability.